May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host, and a man who doesn't know where he's going, but he sure knows where he's been. With me in the studio is the man that makes the podcast happen. It's Paul B. coming at you. How's it going?
Pretty good. It's Friday.
Good day at the studio today?
Yeah.
Any plans for the weekend? You playing this weekend?
No, not playing this weekend. Playing next weekend. Might just get together for a jam with some friends. This is going to be a kind of moving weekend. We're moving our studios over to the next suite. We expanded to the next suite over, so we're going to be moving a bunch of gear.
All right.
Not a particularly fun thing, but we're going to have more space. Our own kind of. We got a video room, a jam, a live performance room. It's going to be pretty dope.
That's pretty cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
My bands, we're playing a wedding this weekend.
Oh, nice.
So, it's always kind of, well, it's not my wedding, but it's going to be.
Mazel tov to whoever wedding it is.
We're brushing up on the chicken dance, and we're not afraid to use it. All righty then. So if you have a question for me, you can email me at scott@robertsoncom.com, 2 M's, and I will do my darndest to answer the show as long as it's clean and, about marketing. I mean, don't send me stuff that I can't talk about on the air. I still might find a way to talk about it in the air. I mean, you never know what I'm going to do. I never know. So you can also find a lot of stuff that I post for my company, client news clips, other stuff that we're up to during the week when we're not doing the show over at the Robertson.com Facebook page. That's just facebook.com/Robertson.com. Or you can connect at Twitter at Robertson.com. So lots of good ways to connect with me. Reach out and connect. You will be entertained, and I hopefully can give you a few tips about this crazy world of marketing. So here we are on May the Best Brand Win, episode 45. Look at that. Very exciting. And this, I really wanted to spend some time, a little bit of a continuation of last week's show. Last week we talked about marketing mind games, and we started talking about marketing, deep in the mind. But I really wanted to go even deeper and talk about an element of marketing that isn't discussed quite as much. It doesn't come up as much, and that's subliminal marketing. And so I thought we could have some fun with that. It really is, very blue ocean out there, when it comes to subliminal marketing. But I think it's a fascinating topic, and I think we'll have a lot of fun talking about it today. I'll share with you, some of my experiences, with it, and some other things that I found that I think are kind of interesting about subliminal marketing. As we talked about, marketing goes deep. We all know it. If you're doing it right, it's going deep. It's hitting people in the heart. It's hitting people in the emotions. But how deep does it go? In this episode, again, we're going to go deeper than ever. We're going to talk about subliminal marketing. We're going to talk about what we know about it. Is it legal? How is it legal? What parts of it are legal? How can it be used? And the most important question is not can it be used, but should it be used? And in what situation should it be used? Of course, we're also going to hit who's winning and losing out there in the marketing world, and maybe they're not even aware of it. Maybe it's subliminal to them. So we're going to put on some electrodes today, and we're going to go super mental and have some fun. So with all of that build up, let's talk about subliminal marketing. So I always like to do kind of definitions first. Subliminal marketing is basically a subliminal message, a signal that is designed to pass below the normal limits of perception. For example, it can be inaudible to the conscious mind, but it can be audible to the unconscious or deeper mind. And sometimes it can be an image that's transmitted briefly. It can be perceived consciously. It can be unperceived consciously and perceived unconsciously. And that's sort of what we're talking about. It is it's a fascinating field of study in marketing, and really more of a continuation to what the way we're going to talk about it is sort of as a continuation, sort of the deepest part of the ocean of, marketing mind games. All marketing really is a battle for mind share and those kind of things. Yet you'd be surprised how few marketers really spend time thinking about, how to get in people's heads. They think about how many times they can hit you over the head with the message. That's for sure. Reach and frequency. How many times can we beat somebody before they just succumb and go, take my money, just don't send me any more garbage, please. That kind of thing. So, subliminal works in a completely different way. The human mind is divided into two parts, the conscious and the subconscious. And if you've been drinking a lot, the semi-conscious, no, I'm just kidding. The partly conscious. But most marketing does work on the conscious mind. It also, there's, the subconscious mind is almost always there as well. And, there's been a lot of interesting kind of fields of study of this. So let's do a little history real quick. So the term subliminal message was popularized in the 1957 book entitled The Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard. So the book detailed a study of movie theaters that supposedly used subliminal commands to increase the sales of popcorn and Coke at their concession stands. But later on, the study was admittedly fabricated, and sort of done as more of a publicity stunt. But in 1973, the book Subliminal Seduction claimed that subliminal techniques were in wide use in advertising. And of course, that's just going to scare the hell out of everybody. So the book contributed, to a general climate of fear, kind of Orwellian dangers, that sort of thing. And it was enough to lead the FCC, your friends at the Federal Communications Commission, to hold hearings and declare that subliminal advertising was contrary to the public interest because it involved intentional deception of the public. Interesting. So a lot of people, when people first encountered, subliminal advertising and subliminal marketing, it was in sort of a negative fashion, right? FCC hearings, this isn't something, marketing should be doing, big slap on the hand to marketing, that kind of thing. But, subliminal perception or cognition, is a subset of unconscious cognition, where the forms of the unconscious cognition include attending to one signal in a noisy environment while unconsciously keeping track of other signals and like tasks done automatically. So there's a lot of research into sort of how the unconscious signals can be perceived and do they have an impact on behavior. Really kind of fascinating stuff. If you want to dig deeper than we can, dig into in this radio show, into subliminal advertising, I suggest that you check out the book Subliminal Seduction, from 1973 and kind of see what that was about. And obviously, if the intent of the book was to, create a public stir, a public outcry about subliminal techniques, mission accomplished, I would say. But here's what I want to talk about now. I want to let's talk about hidden messages. Hidden messages. The concept of moving pictures, relies on basically your vision creates the illusion of movement in a series of images projected at, 23 to 30 frames per second. And the popular theory of messages suggests that subliminal commands can be inserted into the sequence in a rate of 1 frame in 25 or 1 frame per second. The hidden command in a single frame flashed across the screen very quickly is not consciously perceived, but the command will supposedly appeal to the subconscious mind of the viewer and have some sort of measurable effect in terms of behavior. So that is one way to do it, right? It comes in there and you really quick, and you don't perceive that you've seen it, but you've seen it nonetheless. It's kind of interesting, I thought. Here's a good one. During the 2000 U.S. presidential campaign, a TV ad that was campaigning for W. Showed the words, and part of the words scaling. And I don't remember this, but I was just reading about this. The words and some part of the words were kind of in the foreground to the background on the television screen. The word bureaucrats flashed on the screen, and one frame showed only the last part, rats. Accurate, gotta say. Democrats promptly asked the FCC to look into the matter, but no penalties were ever assessed in the case. I never heard about this one. I just say that's really fascinating that happened. And there was I do remember that George W. Bush had problems pronouncing the word subliminal. I don't know if you remember that or not, but there was a little bit of a thing that he called it subliminal. And instead of subliminal, and so anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. I think Will Ferrell even played with that with his portrayal of W, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I had no idea that was attached to the stink around this presidential ad. But so let's say you wanted to do it, right? You wanted to get people to think that bureaucrats, are rats, and so you just cut off the last part of the thing, and the last part of the word, and one frame shows the last part, and then you sort of measure the impact, right? That's kind of fascinating. Well, I don't know. I'm fascinated by it. Now I want to talk about 8 ads with subliminal messages that we all probably missed that I think are kind of interesting. There's a good little list of let's go over these 8. So there was a Halloween ad a little while back with Pepsi versus Coca-Cola, and Pepsi did something kind of fascinating. It's subtle. Not even. I mean, is it subliminal or is it just really, really subtle? Good argument there. But Pepsi basically, it's basically an ad. It's a Halloween ad. It's a Pepsi can on a bed of rocks, and the Pepsi can has a Coke, a red cape around its. Around the can, like around its neck, and it says Coca-Cola on the cape. And the thing is, we wish you a scary Halloween, right? To create the idea that the idea is scary. Getting a Coke when you wanted a Pepsi is scary, is kind of thing, and that's kind of funny. And those brands take shots at each other all the time, so no big deal there. I thought what Coca-Cola did in response was really fascinating. They ran the exact same ad. They the exact same image. They changed the headline to "Everybody Wants to Be a Hero" and then dropped their logo on it. So just a little Coke and Pepsi battling. The Milwaukee Brewers logo is an iconic example, and the logo, not the latest one, but the one from 1978 to 1993, is an iconic example of a subliminal logo. The M and the B make a catcher's mitt, right? And and that's kind of interesting because the M and the B are integrated into the visual design, but you have to kind of be looking for them to kind of see that they're there, right? Classic subliminal piece. Another one of those is, when Disney released its first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, they basically, the logo of Pirates of the Caribbean is a skull and crossbones with two things, right? With the two swords. When they had the swords on fire, and when you look at the Pirates of the Caribbean logo with the ends of the swords that you grip them that are sticking out by the skull, the head of the skull there, it makes a Mickey. It makes a Mickey symbol, which is kind of funny and so interesting. And Disney is masterful, absolutely masterful at getting their little 3-circle Mickey logo inserted into anything that they can do. It's really, really interesting to watch them. Here's a good one. Did you know Amazon.com's logo has a subliminal message in it? A subtle message, maybe not subliminal. Again, the argument between subtle and subliminal is always going to be there. But the Amazon logo, and maybe is the word Amazon.com, and it has a little arrow that goes through it, right? And it goes and bends up on the under the Z. Now, what's interesting about that is the fact that they are making the statement that we have everything at Amazon.com, right? We have everything from A to what? To Z, right? So if you look at the logo and you can follow it, the A trails to the Z. And it's a subliminal message there that says, we have everything. Why would you ever want to go anywhere else? And that sort of thing. And really, it's been in use since about the year 2000. But anyway, take a closer look at the logo, and and what people might say at this time of the conversation. They could say, well, I don't think of Amazon like that. I would say, are you sure? Are you sure? We're talking about stuff that you most likely are not aware of. We're talking about the kind of marketing that even if we shook you awake in the middle of the night, you still might not have an understanding that it's working on you, right? This is deep stuff, very deep stuff. It's fascinating stuff too. Here's a good one that I wasn't aware of: the Tostitos logo, the Tostitos, tortilla chip logo, has in the middle of it has like two friends sharing chips and salsa. The dot for the I is a bowl of salsa, and the two T's are like friends sharing the salsa, right? And and that's kind of fascinating, right? And if you're just looking at the logo, you're like, I know that's like supposed to be kind of like a fun type, but you might not have zoomed in on the fact that this is like two friends enjoying the chips and salsa kind of thing, which is kind of interesting. FedEx is a good one too. There's a subliminal message in the FedEx logo. White space shows an arrow, an indication of the company's speed and ability to get you from point A to point B. If you look closely at the FedEx logo, you can see the arrow. Email me if you can't see it, but I can show you where it is. So anyway, that's kind of fascinating, I thought too. Ethics in subliminal advertising. Obviously, goes without saying that you're doing some stuff that you probably don't completely understand, and they might not completely understand. So you always, just a word of caution that obviously you always want to be very much on the ethical side of doing things that help connect people in kind of cool ways. The way that Amazon does it, A to Z, that's just that's a basically a reinforcement of their brand and those kind of things. I think we're going to talk about colors and designs a little bit later in the show, but we're digging into subliminal marketing, and you're tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and losing subliminally. See you in a few.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are back in segment 2 of May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am still Scott. Paul is still Paul. We are still talking about subliminal marketing.
You have no proof of that. I could be anyone right now. I'm just a voice on the airwaves.
He could be anywhere. He could already be moving to the next office over. You don't know where he is. That's what I'm saying.
I got talking about subliminal. Always, I get this one of my favorite Simpsons quotes. Back from when the Simpsons were like the bomb with the writing. It was so good.
Oh, yeah.
Where Homer sees this commercial on TV of this disgusting burger where they pile on cheese and like an egg and bacon and sausage. We put a load of rich creamery butter and top it off with cheese and bacon. And then Lisa is telling him she's concerned that he needs to lose weight. And she's looking into like these subliminal weight loss tapes for him. She's like, Dad, what if I told you that you could lose weight without, having to lift a finger just through subliminal messaging?
Oh, no.
And he's like, oh, Lisa, that's just a load of rich creamery butter.
Well done. And remember Fight Club?
Yeah.
Remember they, the character used to, he would put in a frame in children's movies that was not supposed to be there. I just saw that on FX the other day. I was laughing my butt off. That's such a wild movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dig into winning and losing this week in the world of marketing. And we're going to start with losing Hawaiian Airlines, who is very rarely losing, to be honest. Such a great airline. Fly it myself. Love Hawaii. But they're having some problems this week. A Vegas flight to Hawaii was diverted to LAX basically over a scuffle over a $15 blanket. You may have heard about this story. So basically they were going from Las Vegas to Honolulu. And first of all, just a quick surprise. Who knew that they flew direct from Vegas to Honolulu? I would have thought that they go through LAX, anyway. But hey, direct flight. There you go. So a passenger became involved in a dispute with a flight attendant over the prospect of being charged $15 for a blanket. The plane landed safely at LAX, and the 66-year-old man was interviewed by the Los Angeles Airport Police and escorted off the plane, and his name was not released, yada, yada. So according to the investigation, the flight took off from Vegas. The man told the flight attendant he was cold, requested a blanket. The flight attendant said that'll be $15. He allegedly made some remarks that, quote unquote, made flight attendants uncomfortable. Probably some curse words thrown in there. It probably was not mahalo. I'm going to guess that wasn't said. And then the plane was diverted to LAX. Now, here's why I'm going to put in losing. Because all of this nonsense is caused over a $15 blanket, folks. So, and I get that, customers can be a huge pain in the butt. But imagine the pain in the butt to the public relations department that now your airline, you just got the PR department's attention in not a good way. Not a good way. Because everybody that was working on stuff when this happened all of a sudden got diverted over here and had to go on, morning talk shows and talk about why our blankets cost so much. I mean, it's $15. Take $15 out of your own, empower your employees. Here's my message to Hawaiian Airlines. Everything counts when it comes to the brand. I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you're right in the policy manual. And baby, you are right. Every letter of the law, you are still wrong. You created a public relations situation for this company over $15 freaking dollars, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. No way. And for you, the airline, it's free. Just here's how I would have handled it. Because people ask me when I post on social media, they said, oh, Scott, well, how would you handle it? Here's exactly how I would have handled it. Here's how I would have told anybody to handle this and protect the brand. I would have said, sir, the blankets are $15 as a one-time courtesy because we realize you're cold. We don't want anybody to be cold. You're going on vacation. You're going to Honolulu. Our brand is associated with everybody having a pleasant experience going to Hawaii, right? So we're going to give you the blanket for free. But just hang on to it. Keep it for the next flight, your return flight, and future flights, because it's cold up here. It's always going to be cold up here, and it's always going to be $15. Just so you know, that is the rule. But this one time, we're going to do a courtesy kind of thing. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it, and you don't have a fight with the passenger, and you don't, because think you delayed over 200 passengers got delayed. They're going to Honolulu. They're going to their vacation. You know how precious your time is in Hawaii when you have time in Hawaii? Do you want to spend it sitting on the runway at LAX because some dip person, could not pay $15 for a blanket, and because the airline wouldn't give them $15 for a blanket? Come on. I mean, I would have taken up a passenger collection for the $15 to pay for the man's blanket, And I'm sure they tried to do that once they realized this was going on. But obviously the FAA rules state that when a passenger, appears to be unsafe or is threatening a flight attendant, then they have to follow those procedures. And I get that. But all of it could have been avoided, Hawaiian Airlines. And I'm certain that all the PR people that were working on other stuff that got pulled into this, and all the people who had to become spokespeople for the company, and all the discussions about why blankets cost so much on airplanes and all that BS that happens afterwards, all of those people would have been really excited to travel back in time in the Wayback Machine and just give the dude the blanket, right? That's what it means when your brand is connected all the way down into customer service. Empower your people to do stuff like that. Have a conversation with all your flight attendants and say, if you have a situation like that, don't cause a public relations crisis for us. And people say, oh, well, the Hawaiian Airlines is right. It's not going to be a public relations crisis. Do you know what I remember about Hawaiian Airlines for this week? Would you like to know what I remember about them? Subliminally, otherwise? It's not positive. There's a little bit of me, and there's a little bit of you, and there's a little bit of everybody reading the story that's like, man, you didn't give them, you're going to land the plane in Los Angeles and not give them the blanket? Think about it. Think it through. Your brand is important. It's important all the way from your fancy corporate advertising to your public relations, all the way down to how your customers behave in things and how you message these things out into into the public consciousness. So we're going to put Hawaiian Airlines in the losing category. Hopefully they will do better in the future. Let's see. In the winning category, or just the, I don't know what it is, to be determined category maybe, WikiLeaks wants to join forces with some tech giants against the CIA. Okay. The leak-focused site on Tuesday released thousands of alleged CIA documents accusing the intelligence agency of amassing tools that can break into iPhones, Android devices, smart cars, smart TVs, and cars. WikiLeaks' Vault 7 release indicated the CIA hoarded vulnerabilities in iOS and Android and kept them secret so they continued to use them to gain access to devices. Blah, blah, blah. Julian Assange, who's always in it, said his organization will work with tech giants like Apple, Google, and Samsung, as long as Samsung doesn't have an exploding phone, to plug those holes before it releases more details on the CIA's hacking program. Yeah, that's a tough one. Here's what I'll say. We have a lot of cameras pointed at us in this world, right? Far more than you realize are pointed at you. There are thousands of satellites that point down. How Google gets a nice little picture of your house. The military ones can spot pocket change on your front doorstep. Just so we're on the same page with what we're talking about. And, it's like they have to have tools like that. Do they use them responsibly? No, they do not. They do not use them responsibly, because the same idiots that are on the freeway with you on a regular basis, a lot of those idiots are the same idiots that work in other places that are filled with idiots. So just so you know, you can't assume a level of competence that doesn't exist. But your defense in this is that you're really boring. Honest to God, no offense, I don't know you, but odds are great that you're not doing anything that, is of importance enough to the CIA. More than likely. More than likely that's the case. So that's your greatest defense, by the way. Lead a boring, regular old life, and it shouldn't be a problem. And also, just so we're also just clear about how technology works and stuff, your phone has a high definition video camera, it absolutely can be turned on by somebody other than you. Just so the same button that you push, right, can be triggered by something outside. So just know that, know that your webcam that's pointed at you, same thing, obviously. It doesn't seem like people understand that cameras can be triggered remotely by other people. Not that they're going to see anything that's wildly exciting anyway, but yeah, that's there. So I've changed my mind. I think WikiLeaks goes in the losing category. I'm not sure being against the CIA is a great thing for us as a country. CIA is kind of a necessary evil. Obviously they need to do that job, or more bad things happen. So, but we'll put them in the losing category because they're publicly going out against the CIA, and it's just a weird statement to say. Let's see. The news business is winning. Surprisingly, after repeated attacks by President Trump and his administration on the dishonest media, there's kind of an interesting side effect for media companies, which we need to report. It's called the Trump bump, and it's basically some of these media outlets are adding new digital subscribers, and all kinds of news outlets are gaining in record numbers of signups. So that's kind of interesting, right? And that's actually pretty cool. We like that. The New Yorker is another beneficiary. That's kind of fascinating. Magazine sold 250,000 new subscriptions between Election Day and the end of January, which is more than double the number from the same period a year earlier. I think that's kind of fascinating. I gotta say, anytime we're always watching the media numbers and stuff like that, and anytime you have something positive to report, even if it comes from that, I think that's still kind of a good thing. Let's see. What else do we got? Let's talk about the Nintendo Switch, shall we? Nintendo launched its new Lewis console and just a few days ago, but it's really off to a strong start in terms of sales. It's already broken Nintendo's previous record for the fastest selling console. Very impressive product launch, especially that's really. We definitely have to put it in the winning category. And Nintendo has a way of doing this, right? They are pretty good at selling consoles. When they came out with the Wii, and then they kind of struggled for a while with the other versions of the Wii and those kind of things, sort of on their way to the Switch. But the Friday and Saturday sales for the Nintendo Switch exceeded the first 2-day sales in Americas for any system in Nintendo's history, and the next biggest was the Wii. Kind of fascinating, especially fascinating too because there aren't a ton of games out for this thing right now, other than the new Legend of Zelda, which I hear is great. I don't have the Nintendo Switch yet. I'm planning on getting it, and probably planning on playing some Zelda. Got to say, I always have enjoyed the Zelda games, but we're going to put them in the winning category because that is an impressive launch. Kudos to the entire marketing team at Nintendo for a job very well done. A couple of quick things on Facebook that I just wanted to drop an update on is that Facebook is testing a secondary news feed in some of the beta versions of its app on Android and also on iOS. You might see it pop up if you're a beta tester for Facebook. In the latest update, the current version of the news feed kind of remains as your home tab, but they've added this new Explore tab, which is a combination of photos, videos, and articles that are tailored to your interests. Yeah, creepy, but what are you going to do? From things that you've liked or not liked or followed or not followed, that kind of thing. It's kind of similar to Instagram's Search and Explore tab, but this is a secondary news feed. And what's interesting about the Explore tab is it's a way to engage with pages that you haven't liked or followed yet. So you've got your current news feed, right? You like this cat food, this deodorant, that kind of thing. You're getting that, right? This Explore tab is all kinds of new stuff that you haven't necessarily liked or followed yet, which is really interesting, right? Because Facebook is sort of recognizing the need and really explaining the need for a secondary feed. Really, they're addressing the fact that many users are saying, well, I like the little world that I've created for myself, but I don't want to be limited by that. Maybe there's some other stuff out there that I'd like to, look at from time to time. There you go. There you have it. There's also another bit of news around Facebook. Facebook has started to flag fake news stories. So they started to pin, I don't know if you've seen this yet or not, but they started to pin a disputed tag on quote unquote fake news. So they're going to do a fight to fight fake news, but there's only so much they can do, kind of thing. And then what's the story they talk about here? Trump's Android device believed to be the source of recent White House leaks. That's a good one, actually. If that one shows up in your feed, that it will be accompanied with a warning label, along with links to fact-checking sites explaining why it's not true. So the entire CNN feed is disputed. No, I'm just kidding. Plenty of their tech news is really good. I have a lot of friends that work for CNN and tech, and they just kind of shake their heads because they're like, "Oh God, we hate to be associated with what the political and the hard news folks are doing over there. We're just over here trying to do our job in tech and stuff." So, anyway, I thought that was kind of fascinating. Let's see what else. A new Google tool lets you search videos for specific objects. This is going to be a really fascinating one to watch. Basically, with the tool, you can search one or more videos using keywords. You can get back a list of results of where in the video you can find objects relevant to your search terms. So for me on the PR side, if I'm looking for things for my client like Voco Pro or just any of my hardware clients, for example. Let's use Voco Pro as an example. Anytime somebody's doing a video and using a Voco Pro product, we're going to be able to have that as a separate tag. So things that might not have it, keyworded in the title of the video and those kind of things. This is really going to be a fascinating way to start doing with video. It also kind of speaks to how advanced video is getting. And so we're going to put this in the winning category and definitely the TBD category. But from marketers, it is really, really fascinating because we're going to be able to really sort of start to tag videos by objects that appear in them, products, if you're in the product business and that sort of thing. And then you're going to be able to search for those things eventually. So if you're doing a search on Google, for Voco Pro, you might find it might bring up some new video content that you weren't aware of that features the product. So we're going to put that in the winning category. And you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. We're going to talk a little bit more about subliminal marketing. I'm going to give you a few tips. Come on back for segment 3. We'll see you in a few.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's music biz marketing strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
This is the best program I've ever heard. Subliminal advertising. Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I'm Scott. I'm back. We just finished talking about winning and losing. Paul, how's it going? What did you think?
These are not the droids you're looking for.
These, there you go. That's using the force. That's using the force. What did you take away from winning and losing this week, Paul? What are your learnings?
Honestly, I was a little freaked out to hear that they charge you $15 for a blanket on an airplane now. What's up with that? I think I was listening to it. I was like, I think I completely sympathize with the culprit.
With the guy.
Yeah,
with the guy. Yeah, with the guy. It is true. Give the man a blanket.
I mean, flying is getting crappier and crappier, every year, but this is like a new low. And my guess is that once you get a blanket, you keep it. Is that why it's $15? That they can't just give you one and then take it back because they don't want to launder it?
Yes, exactly. Because they don't want someone else's Hawaiian Airlines cooties, jumping onto you.
Yeah.
Bed bugs.
I guess I get that.
Stuff like that. Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's what's funny about that is that there were so many stories about this incident, in the news, all the morning shows, we're talking about it and stuff. And can you believe that? And then every single one of them was like, $15 for a blanket. Is that fair? What do you think? Tweet us back. It's like, and you're sitting there just shaking. You're just shaking your head. And if you're at Hawaiian Airlines PR, you're just going, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Are you kidding me? That now we're having a conversation about $15 blankets that we wouldn't have had somebody just thrown one in somebody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Unintended consequences. That's what we're talking about. Well, we're talking about subliminal advertising and subliminal marketing here on episode 45 of May the Best Brand Win. And before I want to give you a few tips to wade into the waters here. I want to talk about color for a second. Just while we're talking about graphic elements, obviously a huge part of marketing is graphics. And color really has an impact. A lot of studies of subliminal marketing, color has been one of the things that they've been able to tie back to at a level that you don't necessarily perceive. So I'll just give you a couple of things. Most designers know this stuff, but it's good to review it, especially if you're in the business of if you're running marketing and you're a marketing person, you need to have a good understanding of why certain colors work and that kind of thing from a psychological perspective. So here's some subliminal messages you might be giving off without realizing it. So red is an urgent color, which stands for energy, courage, strength, and defiance. That is why it is the brand color of Robertson Communications. It just feels right. You ever hear somebody say that? Yellow is an optimistic color that implies your youthfulness, friendliness, and creativity, right? Green is a relaxing color that's connected to balance, health, restoration, and the environment. Also, no coincidence, the fact that it's tied a lot to finance. Absolutely. Purple is a soothing color that's tied to Prince. No, it's a soothing color that has a spiritual side. It reflects luxury and quality. Luxury, obviously, dating back to the fact that it's, purple, very regal color of royalty, and also a very soothing color. It soothes people, purple does. That's why Prince used it so much. He just would like to soothe. And blue is an intellectual color that stands for loyalty, communication, logic, and coolness. Coolness meaning, it's blue. Coolness meaning the opposite of hotness. There you go. So anyway, just wanted to make sure we reviewed that and you knew that your general colors, very important. I had a client once that always told me that blue is for bathrooms. And in their mind, it's like, oh, I can't use blue. Blue's for bathrooms. I was like, well, aside from that wonderful opinion that you just stated that has no basis in anything, that it's actually, has been proven, psychologically to stand for these things, things like loyalty, that kind of thing. That's why it's used in so many large brands. that are not bathrooms, as it turns out. But blue is for bathrooms. Always a fun story. So we're talking about subliminal marketing still. And I just want to give you guys a few tips before we get out of here that are gonna help you. Tip number one. If you're gonna delve into the area of subliminal marketing, that is, first of all, tip number one, you're in the right place. You are looking to do something powerful with your consumer, inside their head, their heart, their mind. That is absolutely where you want to be. As opposed to, and I get this question sometimes. People say, doesn't all marketing work that way? No, it does not. You have to push deeper. You have to push more, and you have to dig deeper than your normal kind of surface level approach. Even if it rhymes and all the letters start with the same, or the words start with the same letter, which is a classic little clever marketing trick. But I can make a bunch of words in a sentence have the same letter, and the sentence doesn't say jack squat, right? And that's what I always like to call the appearance of marketing. Sometimes you have nice cutesy things, but then you ask the questions deeper, and you're going, "What are we really trying to say here? What are we really about?" But subliminal marketing, I'm a big proponent of emotional branding. All branding, the next word out of your mouth is what? Emotion, right? Branding, what emotion are we going for? What, of the 58 to 75, emotions that we are aware of, which one are we going for, in our specific brand? Subliminal obviously works at a different level. But I will definitely say that if you're starting out with an approach that says, how can we try to get inside their head? And then we can do some subtle things, that may or may not be subliminal. Maybe it's just really good, subtle marketing that it kind of evokes the brand proposition. Some of the examples that we talked about in the first segment, the FedEx logo having the sort of subliminal, out of the reversed white space, there's a or the reverse negative space, there's an arrow in there, right? And that is to convey, speed. We're trying to convey speed. We're trying, our brand is about that, so we're trying to convey that. Amazon.com, A to Z, we've got everything, and they pretty much do have everything. I mean, that's not a inaccurate statement by any stretch of the imagination. So the subliminal arrow, maybe you didn't think of it. Maybe I mentioned it the first time is the first time you've ever thought of that, but maybe it worked on you and you weren't aware of it. That's a lot of this stuff works, and we're not completely, connected with why it's working. It's a good way to say it. So you're in the right place. Number one. Number two, got to say this, use caution and ethics, and then a lot more caution. So many marketing approaches, just not only lack a tremendous amount of empathy of trying to understand the thoughts and feelings and needs and wants of who they're inflicting it upon. They, there's just not, sometimes there's just no ethics being used at all in what's going on. And when you're doing this kind of stuff, when you're doing subliminal stuff, especially if you're going to do the frame stuff where you're trying to, caution and ethics, lots of caution and ethics. One thing that I did find fascinating, just while we're talking about ethics, did you know that there are no laws that govern subliminal? The United States does not have a specific federal or state law addressing the use of subliminal messages in advertising. No laws. Instead, the country's advertising and broadcast regulatory agencies sort of deal with the topic and its impact on the public on sort of a case-by-case basis. But government loves to make laws, right? And this could be a topic for another show, but I'm sort of fascinated by the fact that there is not one specific federal or state law that addresses the use of subliminal messages. Yet we have a lot of research that confirms that stuff can work. Again, because the argument back again, where's the line between just really good, clever, subtle, psychologically driven marketing and actually crossing the line into subliminal? and that kind of thing. But I found that kind of thing kind of fascinating. But no matter, just because there's not a law, against using it and that kind of thing, doesn't relieve you of your ethical responsibility as a marketer to, to be ethical in everything that you're doing for the brand and to use caution for everything that you're doing for the brand. Very, very important. Number 3, study up. I mentioned a couple of books at the top of the show. There are other books that have been written, on this subject. There are lots of university studies that are really, really fascinating to study up on the subject of subliminal marketing. There are a lot of volumes that have been written on this stuff. And some marketers will say, well, I'm not, I don't want to. It uses a lot of real complicated, psychological jargon and cognitive and disassociative and all that kind of stuff. You know what? That's the job. That is the job that we're assigned to do. That is sort of the goal that we're shooting at. So it's I would just my tip for being good at subliminal marketing, and again, it may not fit into anything that you're doing right now, and it may just be more great, clever, and subtle marketing that has a chance to be perceived as at a subconscious level and that kind of thing. But it's a good subject to study up on. It's a good subject to know your stuff on, in the future. And again, I don't forget the university studies too. Just because they they don't appear in book form and that kind of thing doesn't make them any less valid. There's a lot of articles that have been, written on the subject. Look up, and what's really interesting, when I was beginning to study this, to talk about it on this program, I started to look at some of the articles that were written, in the 70s, around when the FCC was bringing this up, and this sort of created a bit of a public panic. I found that to be a bit fascinating. It's always interesting when you see the government start to get involved and tell the marketing profession, what it can and can't do and what it should and shouldn't do. And even through that, as we just talked about at the beginning of the segment, still no laws, right? Still no laws. It's a case-by-case decision based on, regulatory agencies and that kind of thing. So anyway, interesting stuff. Tip number 4, always realize that this type of marketing, doing things like this at this very, deep level is very much an experiment, and you should always treat it as such. You're going to have other people in the company that you're going to need to explain it to. I always tend to look at things like this, in that sort of experimental, idea. So, so there's not crazy expectations being put on it. And there's also people thinking that the marketing efforts that a company's doing is, a bit of an overreach, or they're doing something that's not ethical. Again, the word subliminal is a bit loaded, negatively. So if you show up at a board meeting and say, well, we're going to, we have a program where we're looking into, subliminal marketing and that kind of thing, 9 out of 10 of those responses is going to come negative to you back. So always try to explain it as, obviously this is something that we're looking into. It's an experiment, and we're experimenting, and then, and then treat it that way. Very, 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 very important stuff. Number 5, pay attention to new studies. This is an area where a lot has been written about it, but you should pay attention to, it's not a closed field of study. It's not something that, okay, now we know everything we need to know and we're done. It's not that at all. So be sure, that when you're doing this stuff, when you've made a decision as a marketing person or a marketing department, that you're open to, and looking at the latest information as it comes out. Because as we always find, almost all science blows us away with breakthroughs all the time. And scientists are never, they're always sort of locked into what is true today, but they're always open to what could be proven true tomorrow. And marketers got to be a little bit like that as well. Like, for example, IBM this week, proved that it's possible to store data inside of an atom, right? At this, extremely molecular level, they can store data, which is sort of mind blowing, at this, at the atomic level. Prior to that study coming out, had you done a show about that, or had you discussed it, in any meaningful way, people would have said, hey, there's no way that you that's beyond us. We don't know how to do that. But now there's all these stories this week, if you follow the tech space, that are talking about subatomic storage and subatomic computers, and how my least favorite pairing in the world is the fact that subatomic computers and artificial intelligence may be getting together in the future. And, again, science likes to prove that things can happen, things can work. They need to obviously invest heavily on the should we be doing this side of the clipboard, I would say, but especially when you come to talking about things like that. But pay attention to the new studies as it relates to subliminal marketing, because we're learning new stuff all the time. And also, just on the subject of ethics, when you're looking at your logo design, things like that, people judge your company based on the logo and all the other graphics and branding that you use. So this is a good way, a very good and ethical and appropriate way and everything to play in the subliminal space. You can take something design oriented, again, look at some of the things that Amazon did, that FedEx did, that all these other companies, are doing, that Tostitos did, that kind of thing. And see if there's something that maybe that you could do too that would make it really special. That could be really cool. As we talked about in the show, marketing can go deeper than we ever thought possible. It can go into the land of dreams, memories, fantasies. And that's where the real stuff is hidden, not the reasons that they're going to give you why they like or don't like something you're promoting, but the real reasons, the things they won't ever tell anybody, and maybe not even themselves. If you're in marketing, you have signed up for the wild ride that is the human psyche. And it is much more fun doing that than, playing in that sandbox than managing a little to-do list of marketing tactics that, there's just a lot more imagination you can have that. When you practice marketing, be about this kind of stuff, the mental stuff. That's the real marketing, even if no one ever understands why you're doing it. That's it for me, marketing fans. Until next week, this has been Scott Robertson. You've been listening to the May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?